Intense focus, heavy pads, and a no-nonsense game plan. Denver police look a bit like a hockey team. Some 700 officers, all hoping for calm but expecting something else, patrol several downtown hotspots. The end of the Avs game brings its own avalanche of fans from every direction, spilling out of Pepsi Center, pouring from Coors Field, and more than a few who hurry from home just to be part of the celebration. Unlike championship bashes of the past, rowdiness this time certainly is the exception, not the rule. But there are plenty of problems: bonfires, arrests, and some stinging conflicts between cops and carousers. 19th and Blake, 20th and Market, 15th and Laramie.
Need to please disperse. Camouflage will be used.
Clouds of tear gas break up the big knots of revelers very quickly.
They're shooting tear gas into the crowd. Scott, that's going to be, depending on the wind, heading your way.
Well, you see them coming this way. They just threw tear gas, and so they're clearing the intersection. Where the folks are going to go?
In the end, despite the frightening moments, frenzy gives way to calm, then absolute quiet. And after it all, police and civic leaders alike say the night must be seen as a success. Fewer headaches, more smiles. Perhaps Denver is getting better at celebrating championships in style.
It's a time of year when the South Boulder Creek can be deadly.
Mother Nature can be cruel at times.
In a flash of seconds, a 19-year-old woman and her stepfather were knocked from their raft. No life jackets, no helmets.
What flipped you? Or did you flip the boat?
It was the rapids.
We're going to start a floating and a walking search.
Deputies from Boulder and Gilpin counties searched the banks, while the girl's mother watched in agony.
You always try and hold out hope until the very last moment. I mean, there was always a chance that she could have gotten out on shore.
2.5 hours after the victim fell in, there was grim news.
We think we may have found something, but we don't know.
3 miles downstream, a foot crew found her body trapped under a bridge.
All right, here guys, we got gear coming through.
Crews had to climb between the cars of an idled train to get to the victim. The dive team fought strong currents to find her. But this day, there would be no rescue, only recovery.
This is the time of year in the rapids. You need to have proper equipment. It can have dire consequences, as we saw today.
It became a thought about 2 or 3 days after September 11th. There's about 4,000 bulbs, and about 4 weeks later it became reality. It was just supposed to be a light display that turned out better than I think any of us could have ever imagined. It's actually a car stopper, which is amazing.
We came out looking for it.
We came down specifically to see it.
I think it's magnificent. It's just unbelievable.
You know, I was back east when the Twin Towers went down. It was a time when Bob said, I wanted to be with you at a time of crises. So we're together here and we can see the Twin Towers.
This brings people even closer together in this holiday season.
Makes them think about the tragedy on September 11th on Christmas morning, that there's families out there that aren't going to have quite the Christmas they were expecting because they're missing a family member. And that's what what's going to affect me most on Christmas morning. It turned out to be quite a project. It really turned out neat.
The United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute continues with preparations for the court-ordered execution of Timothy James McVeigh.
How can anybody be happy? You know what I'm saying?
I just feel empty, that's all.
It is 7 a.m. in Terre Haute, the hour of the execution of Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh.
Out here to support everybody that's went through a lot of pain.
How can anybody sit here and wait for somebody to die and not feel a little bit of pain, you know?
We are awaiting a live press conference by the Bureau of Prisons to officially pronounce Timothy McVeigh dead.
He's getting his just deserves, I guess.
I'm
Alaska's only live correspondent to Timothy McVeigh's execution. I'm on live right now, actually. I'm broadcasting through the cell phone.
Timothy James McVeigh has been executed by lethal injection.
Ding dong, McVeigh is dead. McVeigh is dead. McVeigh is dead.
Some people just totally miss the meaning.
Ding dong, McVeigh is dead.
I think this is an awfully big deal for such a petty man.
Pretty big part in history. You're gonna remember it.
Is this a radio stunt?
You could probably classify it as that.
All those people thinking they're gonna get closure off of seeing another man die. How many people have closure?
Live now to Action 10's
It's not a happy situation, but it's definitely the ending that I chose.
How else can I feel but empty? You know, I've poured out my emotions for the last 4 days. I live in a society that can legitimize it and justify it.
You know, like the Bible says, eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And he's getting off easy.
There is still a wide-open place in this country where the buffalo roam. In Colorado, up close to the Wyoming border. This is Diamond Tail Ranch. It's a step back into the Old West. More than 1,000 head of North American bison. 8-year-old Matthew Behrens lives on the ranch with his family. Dad Bill is a hired hand who works the herd.
We moved out here for a better life, and that's exactly what we wound up with.
A better life in a country they love. It's a sheltered existence in the Laramie River Valley, but father and son keep up with current events. September 11th struck Diamond Tail too. Soldiers gone to war have stirred patriotism.
We all feel this way up here. It's just not me. If we could exchange places with our troops for one day so they could spend some time with their family, we would do it.
But that's not possible, so the Behrens brainstormed. Buffalo eat where you drop the hay.
So if he can make lines, he can make letters.
That's when I decided to get a little patriotic and put USA on there.
Bill now writes in the snow with the tractor. The buffalo do the rest. Through a symbol of our heritage, a strong message of support.
I guess the only other thing that would look better maybe is a bunch of bald eagles, but they're hard to find and hard to come by.
So the buffalo make the stand. National pride, a tribute to our troops in troubled times.
We're pretty much in the flight pattern of all the planes that fly through the Midwest here. And I thought, who knows, maybe somebody will see it up above. If only one person saw it, then it was all worthwhile.
Call it a Christmas card for love of country. United we stand.
Oh, yes. This is a very fast-paced world. Everybody is in a rush.
Okay, welcome to speed dating.
Are you nervous?
1, 2, 3, date. Hi. Nice to meet you. Hi, Lori.
7 girls.
To be entertaining.
7 guys. And you literally have 7 minutes to date that person.
Okay, flowers and trees.
No, I've been to Vegas.
Exactly 7 minutes. And quick.
You got to make a pitch and you got to make a good one.
And quick. Well, you haven't heard how much I can say in 3 if I try. And fun. I'm going to time you for 7 minutes.
Wish me luck.
They're making eye contact with these people, and they're thinking, is there a potential? Is there any chemistry?
I want to get married. Is that bad?
No. It's okay.
No, why should they have to spend 3 or 4 hours when they can tell after 7 minutes?
Actually, I'm not into the bar scene anymore.
That's good. I'm trying to get out of the bar scene. It's sort of like a safety net. If it's a really bad date, it only lasts 7 minutes. I'm sorry. And if it's really good, it can probably continue someplace else. Oh, thank you.
It's enough just to get you interested.
It's you, I hear.
And maybe a little bit hooked.
It's you in Denver.
God spends a lot of his time matchmaking, so it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
You mark yes or no on your card.
Nice meeting you.
Meaning yes, you would like to see the person again, or no, you have no interest.
Thank you very much. I hope you had a good time.
Well, maybe to find love, it depends on each person's agenda, I suppose.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, I'm looking for love. And
thanks for coming.
For their first 7 months in this world, Lexi and Sid shared one crib. Now, as they prepare for surgery to separate the girls, their parents hope they will bring home 2 babies to 2 cribs.
Yeah, they're running around.
Emily Stark has also prepared herself to come home to empty cribs, should something go terribly wrong during the surgery.
I don't want that life support to keep them alive. That's not a life to me. And if it reaches that point, it's time for them to go. And I guess if we get to that point, their organs will be donated, and I will have many other children now. Whoever receives something of theirs, they're mine too now.
For 7 months, Lexi and Sid have lived their lives joined. Now, the next stop is Children's Hospital for Separation Day. October 9th, long before dawn at Children's Hospital, nurses prepare operating room number 9 for one of the most complex surgeries in the hospital's history.
And as Jesus passed by, he saw
Family and friends surround Lexi and Sid in a circle of love and prayer.
Creator God, we thank you that we can place these babies, Sid and Lexi, in your hands. We are here as mother and father, grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts and uncles. Use us to take care of Lexi and Sid.
Good morning.
Just outside the operating room, anesthesiologist Dr. Teresa Utes and Dr. Patty Coughlin check on Lexi and Sid.
There you go. It's perfect.
These doctors must keep their tiny patients alive through a surgery that is scheduled to last 18 hours.
Oh, love her, bear.
At this moment, Jim and Emily Stark know they will never again hold their twins joined as they were at birth.
Name me a big, strong girl.
7:39 a.m. Jim and Emily carry the babies to surgery.
How you doing, angel baby?
Okay. I know.
Goodbye, princess.
Have fun. I love you.
We'll see you in a little while.
And we'll see you in a little
I
bit.
love you very much.
Be a feisty fighter, okay?
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. We'll see ya.
Stay calm.
We will. Hang in there. You'll be all right.
Woo.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Now, Jim and Emily endure their own moment of pain.
Do you want to go upstairs first?
Oh.
To the 6th floor?
They must walk away and leave their babies behind. With the babies lying on their backs, preparations inside the OR continue for the next 2 hours.
Do you have a marking pen, big black marking pen, or blue?
One of the most important steps, clearly labeling each baby so doctors can tell them apart. S is for Sid.
We have painted toes. Look at that.
The separation team wears surgical hats made just for this day, honoring Lexi and Sid's colors, yellow and green.
Oh, look, 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 look.
Several floors above the girls, the Stark family looks for any way to pass the long day. They begin a giant jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, 3cc syringe.
In the operating room, the doctors prepare to tackle their own puzzle.
Can we have some more blue towels here?
First, they will take the babies apart. Then they will put each one back together.
Okay, scalpel, please.
Someone mark the time. We're making a decision.
We're starting, folks.
10 o'clock.
With infinite care, plastic surgeon Dr. Brad McDowell opens the skin.
What I'm going to do is go from here up to there, and we'll work our way down here.
Nurse Jane Parker makes the first of many pilgrimages to tell the Starks what's happening with the babies.
They did all the prepping, all the positioning, all the draping, and they cut skin at 10:02.
7 months ago on this day, Emily Stark gave birth to her joined babies. And now they are one step closer to being reborn as 2 independent little girls.
Oh my God. Okay, calm down. Okay. Can we have the nerve stimulator on?
Now, pediatric surgeon Dr. Joe Janik gets down to some of the toughest work of the day.
Got to lead off on Lexi.
The babies share one exit from their digestive system. Dr. Janik believes he can divide that exit and give half to each girl.
Bingo.
If that will not work, he has to decide which baby gets a functioning place to eliminate waste. And he will have to figure out what he can do for the other baby.
But I really think it's going to connect Joy to your piece.
Upstairs, the puzzle starts to take shape. As the hours drag, Emily looks for busy work. She has not removed the baby's blanket from around her neck.
It smells like them. It just smells great.
That's good right there.
In the operating room, doctors waiting their turn to operate watch Dr. Janik on a monitor.
You're 3/4 of the way down.
2:58 p.m., more than 7 hours into the surgery.
You coming to the other side?
At this point, the babies are held together only by skin and spine. Nurses fill the gap between Lexi and Sid with sterile packing. And then the entire team prepares to flip the babies over.
Yeah, we're ready.
One. Wait, who's got the heads?
I got the head.
You guys count us.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Okay, and down sheet.
But when Dr. McDowell sees the skin on the babies' backs, he sees trouble.
That's what I was worried about.
Some of their sensitive new skin has deteriorated from the pressure of lying in one position for so long.
That's superficial.
I know it is, but it ain't good, folks.
Now Dr. McDowell worries there may not be enough skin to close the huge holes that will exist when the babies are separated.
Sheepskin right here and right there.
But tackling that problem will have to wait many more hours. Nurses wheel in giant microscopes for the neurosurgery team.
That's the place where the two cords come together.
One tiny step at a time, Dr. Michael Handler peels the dura, the covering, off of the baby's joined spines.
All right, we're going to open dura. Watch their blood pressures.
10 hours into the surgery, and what Dr. Handler is about to see will answer this question. Will Lexi and Sid ever be able to walk?
This is probably a nerve root.
For 10 hours, surgeons have been working.
So I'd go right there.
One tiny step at a time to separate Lexi and Sid. And for 10 hours, Emily and Jim Stark have been anxiously waiting to hear one piece of news. Are the babies separated?
That's the place where the two cords come together.
In the operating room, neurosurgeon Dr. Michael Handler sees what he has suspected for months. The baby's two spinal cords do meet, but the nerves do not mingle.
Why don't you get a micro scissor?
Each girl has her own set of nerves, and that means there is a very good chance both Lexi and Sid will be able to walk even after separation.
Well, we're going through. That's all. There's nothing left to do.
At this point, only a tiny bit of bone and tissue hold the girls together. Dr. Handler uses the medical equivalent of a hammer and chisel on the bone.
That's all right. This is working. I'll just go slow.
It's 6 p.m., nearly 10.5 hours into the surgery, when Dr. Handler separates the last bit of bone holding the girls together.
Okay, done.
Can we have a second table, guys? Grab in and you're going to close dura. Right.
All right.
Without warning, the news arrives at the room where the Stark family has been waiting.
2 babies.
Two babies, 2 beautiful words for 2 anxious parents.
All right.
Within minutes, Nurse Jane Parker arrives with the details.
They're on separate beds. They both have their own operating room team working for them right now. And the staff's comments were, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened.
Oh.
I think so.
Me too.
Now, we need to go over the top of it, right?
Yeah.
In the operating room, a bond between 2 sisters, forever severed.
Thank you for all the dreams for me.
Huh?
Perhaps no one feels the joy and the pain of this moment more intensely than Emily and her own sister, Becky.
It's alcohol-free.
The champagne may be alcohol-free, and the glasses may be made out of paper, but the celebration is first class.
To my 2 daughters, may they walk and be happy.
Oh, yeah, I want it all the way up to the neck, to the base of the neck.
In many ways, the surgeons now putting Lexi and Sid back together face the greatest challenges. Before separating the girls, doctors had successfully divided the single exit from their digestive system, giving each girl half.
Well, that's what we'll do. We'll extend that down there.
Now, Dr. Joe Janik's team completes its mission, rebuilding those separate exits in the hope they will function normally.
It's going to be a very tight closure.
But closing the babies may be the toughest task of the day. Will there be enough skin to close the huge hole on each baby's back?
We got lots of skin. We just have to figure out the best way to do it.
Dr. Brad McDowell and the team of Kaiser plastic surgeons get to work.
Can I have the needle tip, please?
Then a test. Dr. Janik checks to see if Sid can move her arms and legs. She passes with flying colors.
And just go here.
At 10:40 p.m., doctors finish Sid, exactly 15 hours after her parents brought her into surgery.
Great.
Scoochie, scoochie, that's good.
Oh, I'm excited. Just my heart is now nervous.
Sid moves quickly from the OR to the intensive care unit.
Oh my God, how cool! Oh, Sidney,
Watch out.
Oh.
Grab her hand.
Oh, Sid. Oh my God.
Nerves are going to be fine.
Within half an hour, Dr. McDowell finishes Lexi. Her scar will be shaped like an S. In a sense, she will always carry her sister Sydney's initial, right at the place where they were once joined.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, yeah, it's you. Pretty exciting, Sandra.
Oh my God, they look perfect.
For the first time, Emily and Jim see their girls together and apart.
Oh, God.
Beautiful. Oh, you got two babies.
Hi, sweetie, it's Mommy. This is so cool.
Oh, they look great.
They look great.
They
They're
look
so
great.
small down there now.
They look great.
On the fourth day after surgery, Lexi and Sid move out of intensive care.
Look. That's sister.
And for the first time in their lives, the babies get a chance to look at and explore each other.
Sydney, who's by you? Where have you been this whole time? Are you going to ask her where you've been?
Lexi and Sid will never remember the time in their lives when they could not move around or lie still without each other.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah.
They will never remember the dozens of doctors and nurses who all said, this is more than just a case.
There we go.
They will not remember how their parents worked to keep them healthy and worried about their future.
She's right there finally.
They will not remember, but they will always have the best possible reminder: each other.